haven't.
I've never actually been to France. Have you been to France?
I have been to France. I went. God, I sounded so fucking aristocratic there, didn't I? I have been to France. Many moons ago. No, I think I went last year in a camper van with my mum and dad and Cammy. And
That's very nice.
yeah, we went to Paris. That's my flawless French accent there. It was lovely. It was great.
That's cool. I was gonna go to France, but like this trip with my A-level Spanish group. I'm not sure quite what the France, but I couldn't go in the end because I got ill. But yeah.
Oh, you were sick.
I was.
I've met a few French people, and I've never met anyone that sounds like that.
Neither have I. I don't think anybody does, really.
It's almost as if stereotypes aren't accurate.
Oh, for God's sake. Right, what episode of Doctor Who are we talking about today? Why are we talking about France for no apparent reason?
Well, it is Season 2, Episode 5. You may think it's Episode 4 because you've looked on the internet, but you're wrong. We're using the Christmas special as Episode 1, so that's why it's Episode 5. And it is The Girl in the Fireplace. And it was written by Stephen Moffat. It was directed by Eurus Lynn.
Oh, fucking was it really? Jesus Christ.
Of course it was.
You
must have known. You must have known with all the cleverness.
No.
And it's starring David Tennant, Billy Piper, Noel Clarke, and Sophia Myles.
Indeed it is. Have you got an opening statement, Chuck?
I do. An episode that is a great example of Stephen Moffat's singular episode puzzle pieces that keeps you engaged and isn't convoluted enough to be annoying, but he does skirt the line.
Yeah, he definitely does skirt the line a bit. It's the thing I like about the Stephen Moffat episodes is there's interesting ideas, but then you start to think about them a bit more and you think, hang on a bloody minute. No, hang on, no, that doesn't make any sense. For example, yeah, okay, we haven't got a pump, so we're going to use a human heart. Okay, I'm with the logic, but wouldn't the heart also need blood? Or does the engine oil or whatever's being pumped through it also need blood? What's the system there?
I mean, maybe human beings in the future are already cybernetically augmented.
Maybe this ship was formerly staffed by Cybermen.
Maybe.
And their weird clockwork counterparts.
Maybe. Or maybe the crew were actually made of metal and the ship was made of flesh, and everyone thinks that it's the crew that smells like barbecue, but it's actually the remaining parts of the ship and everything else has been replaced.
Perhaps.
No, I'm done.
Or maybe it's like, maybe it's like the Star Whale from Beast Below.
Yeah.
And it's like it was previously a flesh ship, which has been all the components have been replaced with metal. So it's just a big Cyberman then.
I mean, thanks for hoisting me up in that one, Les. I was sure you were going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
But no, with Doctor Who, I'm always happy to support an idiotic theory.
Of course, especially when Stephen Moffat's writing.
Oh god, yeah.
I feel. Do you know? Sometimes I feel sorry for Stephen because we give him a hard time in this show, and he's only doing what he thinks is really, really clever, and we're all stupid for even trying to poke holes in his amazing stories. But you know, this is actually quite a good episode, I thought.
It is a good episode, but I think The Girl in the Fireplace, bizarrely, is the least interesting part of the episode The Girl in the Fireplace. Which is quite... I was, like, to be honest, I was far more fascinated by the sort of clockwork repair droids and by the ship that they're on and all that than I was by Madame de Pompadour. So, yeah, okay, great. Yeah. I get that she's like, don't get me wrong, she's a fascinating historical figure, but I'm slightly more interested in the clockwork people.
Yeah, funnily enough, you know, between a historical figure and clockwork androids, you're probably going to get more interest out of the latter.
By the way, this is. I mean, I'm going to say this many times throughout this episode, but I bloody love a bit of clockwork. It's just springs and gears, and yet it's clever enough to tell the time. How fucking brilliant is that? In my mind, in a weird way, that's like cleverer than the internet. you know what I mean? It's just like a simple, yet it's such an elegant, straightforward, and yet incredibly complex system.
I agree.
I just think it's brilliant.
You know, there's a, I have a sort of, I'm a sucker for like classic designs of things, even though that they're probably not going to be as good or practical. But I agree. There's just something about looking at clockwork. Just someone's pieced all that together like by hand. I mean, the internet is like done with like loads and loads of people doing coding, and I'm not dissing coding. Coding is fucking difficult, and I wouldn't do it like if I was offered all the tea in China, right? But like fucking, you get this sort of really impressive feel when you look at clockwork because someone has had to actually put all that together like, singularly by themselves, and it's so. And why is that a thing in the 51st century?
Clockwork?
Yeah.
I imagine because it's quite resilient to damage.
Is it?
I would imagine it's quite. I mean,
in an age of space lasers and fucking
maybe not, but especially not if the casing is made of very shatterable glass.
Yeah.
But I would imagine it's like, compared to other things, it is fairly resilient. Like there's that bit in The Dark Knight Returns, the comic, where the nuclear bomb goes off, and Alfred checks the time, and it's like Alfred and Robin both check the time at the same time, and Robin looks at her wristwatch and says, "Oh, it's broken, like it's not working." And Alfred goes, "The bloody electronics," and then pulls out like a sort of a pocket watch that he winds manually, and it tells the time.
Yeah.
And so I suppose maybe it is dependable. Maybe it sort of goes full circle. Maybe an analog solution, while is not really compatible, maybe it is quite elegant and quite dependable.
Yeah. I've got a stopwatch. It's lovely.
I've got lots and lots of watches. I quite like buying. I mean, I don't like saying I've got lots of fancy watches because that makes me sound much richer than I actually am. But I do have some very fancy watches, but I also like to buy sort of vintage watches that have been a bit unloved and they've got a bit of a story behind them.
Yeah.
Like I've got one watch that's it has like Russian writing on it, and it says 50 years of victory, I think it says, and it's like 50 years after the Second World War. So the watch is like made in 1995, so it's a bit older than me, and I just think that it's like an interesting piece of history.
Yeah.
Which I just enjoy having. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, Lewis has opened a watch orphanage for any watches that have been left abandoned or unloved.
Yes, if you stumble across a watch, get in touch and I won't respond.
Speaking of translation, you know, poisson is fish.
Yes, her name is Miss Fish.
Renette Fish.
Yes, which is quite odd indeed.
It's you know, it's funny. It's kooky. It's quirky. I like that. It's quirky. Again,
you know, interestingly, in a lot of European languages, they have two different words for fish. One for a fish you'll eat, and one for a fish you'll have as a pet. Like,
really? What?
In like, for example, in Spanish, there's two different words for fish. One for a fish you'd eat, one for a fish you'd have as a pet. I think peth, P-E-Z, peth. I think that's like a fish that you'd have. I forget which it is, but a peth is as a fish you'd have as a pet, I think, and a pescado is a fish you'd eat.
Right.
So even if it was both cod, you'd say one was peth, one was pescado.
Yeah, don't they have like masculine and feminine sort of ways of saying things as well?
Yeah, depending on, I suppose, whether the fish is masculine or feminine, or what the dish is, or who the chef is, or yeah. Right. I love languages. I studied Spanish for several years, and I like to pretend I can still speak it now. I'm not. I was fluent for a bit. I'm not now.
I found a Spanish book that I want to read, and there's some discs that teach you some Spanish. So
what book is it?
Shit, where is it? Oh, here it is. It says Spanish, quick and easy. It's CD language course contains.
No, I mean the book you wanted to read in Spanish.
No, a Spanish book is in a book that teaches you how to speak Spanish.
Okay.
Not no, a book that tells you about Spanish words and tries to teach you. Here, listen, right? You'll be able to tell from the. See, do you get it now? Do you understand now that it's
I
just...
do understand now,
Yeah,
yes.
of course.
No, I like a
Goodness
bit of Spanish. I think it's very interesting. It's a good language.
It's a lovely language. You can tell very clearly that this episode was written by Mr. Moffat, because he does that thing. He does that thing that he does, doesn't he? Where though he'll add something in that he hopes the audience doesn't notice, and then he'll address it later on. So, for example, the clock, the second clock in the room, he adds that in, and then it's still ticking despite the fact that the clock's been smashed. He'll add that in, and then maybe 30 seconds later he'll address it, and you go, "Oh yeah!" And he'll also do the fact that Renette Poisson is calling the doctor, and then he'll address that a couple of sentences after she starts doing it. So
to be fair, I did like that actually. The clock thing I didn't like, but I did like the.
I didn't say I didn't like it, but
Renette is addressing the doctor.
I think it's a good way. I think it's a really good way of sort of keeping the audience engaged. But the problem is, he does that every fucking time he has an episode to do, whether it's Sherlock, whether it's fucking Doctor Who. He always does it, even in his first episode with the what do you call it? The empty child. It's like the tape's dead and the child is still speaking. It's like in the typewriter thing, and you're sitting with Jamie right now. So who's typing? It's like, oh
That's
God,
a really good point,
wow!
actually. Yeah, he does do that in every single one.
Every single time. And see the next one. Don't worry, he'll do it again, and I'll point it out.
Okay, what's the next episode? Is it Blink? Is the next
It's
Stephen
Blink.
Moffat episode?
Let me think if I can think of an example.
It's got to be Sally Sparrow talking to the doctor on the tapes. That's what it's got to be, right?
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah, so the doctors look at the statue, and then they don't for like ages, and then they're like, "You're not looking at the statue. Neither are you." It's moved. There you go. What's the next one?
I've got no idea. Absolutely no idea.
What's the next Stephen Moffat episode? Season. Oh, it's the library. Silence in the library, and it's when the voices keep going after the fact. It's like, "We should go, doctor, we should go, and it's like he doesn't realise that it's the same sentence until he turns around and sees that the guy's dead.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, spooky, and it works, but it's not...
It's every time!
Yeah, every time.
Oh, man. God. Stephen, come on, you need to do some other stuff. You can't just keep doing that. It's cheating. It's lazy if you keep doing it. But yeah.
I mean, we could go on and on about how much we don't like Stephen Moffat. It's you can. That's the landmark. Sorry, the classic Stephen Moffat thing is he cares more about being clever than he does about writing something well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
No, I agree. The Doctor compared Mickey to a horse, which I mean, fucking hell, Jesus Christ! I mean, like, you may as well call him a stupid dick from now on. You may as well call him a volatile, stupid idiot.
Also, quick question. They say we'd need a truck to get through there, and then he rides through on a horse.
I don't know if you know this, Stephen, but horses and trucks are quite different.
Famously, though, a unit of power for a truck is horsepower, which implies that it's more than one horse. Surely.
Yeah, and horses have bones. Trucks are made out of fucking metal. So, how's that
Unless
work?
we're in the Cars universe.
Oh yeah, that's true.
They're actually insects the whole time.
Yeah, I heard. Do you know what I wish? I wish the Doctor would travel with a historical figure.
I was just about to say that. Yeah. What is it? Would the Doctor ever take a non-sort of contemporary companion? I understand why they do it in contemporary Doctor Who. Is because it's just easier.
Yeah.
To say, oh, the Doctor's in modern London, and then because then they can just go down the road and film something at a house somewhere. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a comic where the Doctor had David Bowie as a companion.
Huh.
Yeah.
Is it any good? Have you read it?
I haven't read it. I hear it's good. But yeah, something like that. Something a bit out there. Something like not a horrible figure, obviously. You know,
Yeah.
this is Attila the Hun. This is my new companion, Genghis Khan. Hello.
Right. The ending of this episode, obviously, it's tragic and it's heartbreaking, and it does exemplify this sort of the god that wants to be a man. It exemplifies that struggle that I think 10th Doctor really goes through during his tenure.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it also kind of feels like a cop-out in a weird way. I would have quite liked to see some sort of permanent, what's the word, consequences for the character.
Yeah.
Have him be stuck in pre-revolutionary France for however many years. Do you know what I mean? I would have liked to have seen that develop in the next episode, perhaps.
Yeah, I agree.
I know that's not never going to happen, but I would quite like to see that.
I agree. It's because you've got to take it with a pinch of salt, because like Doctor Who has it's a story every episode, or a double bill every episode. So it gives a chance for writers to come in and do their thing, and then they do it, and then another writer comes in. But what it misses is the continuity of life that you get with shows like Breaking Bad and stuff like that, where it's like, no, it's not next week Walt and Jesse are, they've given up being meth dealers, they've become cocaine dealers now. It's like, no, every step has to be logical and make sense, whereas shows like this, it's like, no, it's just a singular adventure every episode with maybe a through line until the end.
Yeah, and it's like what you said about was it Star Trek? I think you described as a sci-fi sitcom.
I don't know if I can take credit for that. I don't know if I said that. I don't want to be like, yeah, and someone's like, no, you didn't, you fucking liar.
Well, whoever said it first, I think that it does get across an interesting point, because it's a thing that's sort of similar in Doctor Who as well. It is sci-fi, yeah, because we're time traveling and we're doing all that sort of stuff. But also, it is a sitcom in the sense of we're just facing a different situation with the same people every week.
Yeah.
In the same way as it's like, oh, this week in Friends, Joey and Chandler are doing this, and Monica and Rachel are doing this. It's a sitcom in a very weird way, in a I suppose a not funny way. It's a sitcom.
Yeah. I mean, even soap operas have an edge on them because they follow logic and go from each story beat and don't jump ahead in time. So I mean, I don't know if I'd prefer it to be that way for Doctor Who. Maybe like a season of that once, just to see how it would go.
Yeah. Although then I suppose you'd fall into things like, it's another Stephen Moffat's being bloody clever. It's another one of them. But when Matt Smith ages like 400 years as he's defending the town called Christmas, would you want that to take place over the course of a series? To see him systematically defending the town against the Silence and the Daleks and the Cybermen and whatever?
Well, maybe he's like, I don't know how it would work. Maybe he's chasing someone and maybe they go on adventures and stuff. I don't know. But just maybe rather than, this week we're at the planet blah 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 blah, and the next week we're at the galaxy of blah 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 blah. Just, have a bit of continuity and just make choices rather than we're in a new setting.
So what you're saying is you'd like a series where the Doctor is part of what could only be described as a Time Lord FBI, because they have a unique genetic code because they're from another dimension, so they can die and come back to life as many times as they like. So that's what you're saying is you'd like a series where the Doctor's part of a Time Lord FBI.
I would like a series where at the time I would like a series where the Doctor was a child who was timeless.
Yes, that's what I'd like too. Oh, God, right. I was just thinking about it the other day, the Timeless Child twist. Even the thing we said of, imagine if it's this really shit ending, and we were just joking about and saying, what if 13th Doctor's running around with a big pepper grinder full of gold that she's grinding over the Cybermen? What if that's the thing? Even that would have been better than the Timeless Child. I know we rag on Doctor Who a lot, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah. It's only because we care.
If that's true. In the time since last week and this week, however, a Doctor Who trailer has been released. Have you watched it?
I have!
I haven't. I'm going to pause the show now and watch it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm not going to actually pause the recording because that'll just
No.
introduce a lot of
Right, okay,
problems.
we'll be back in 1 minute. Woo! And we're back. Yeah.
I just watched the trailer.
Uh-huh.
I'm excited to see Captain Jack come back and do some stuff. If you haven't watched the trailer, then was a good time to go and do it. Yeah, I'm excited to see Captain Jack come back. I think John Barrowman is inherently very charismatic.
He is, yep.
I'm looking forward to his sort of stage presence. Number one, we've already seen that plot happen before, where Winston Churchill was like, look, my Ironsides will defend the country against the Nazis. And it's like, no, they're the bloody Daleks, Winston. Whoa. And yet now we're doing it again, and the Prime Minister's saying, these are going to help the world, but they're actually Daleks that look a bit like a hybrid car. Do you know what I mean? Where the lights are and the sort of weird sleek design, they look a bit like a hybrid.
Oh, no! Why?
Do you know what I mean? There's that bit where they're sort of flying down the street and you're behind them, and they've got like a red light on the back. That it looks, I shit you not, like those sort of continuous strips of brake lights along the back of some cars.
Yep. That's
what it looks like.
So they call them defense drones.
Yep.
And they've clearly been reassembled from the Dalek that was just left in GCHQ.
Yeah,
in
presumably.
Revolution. So they've obviously taken that and reverse engineered it, I think. But is it just the casing? Or is the
or are there little Daleks inside it? Well, there was that bit where somebody was stood over like what appeared to be a vent or something, and they were trying to put something in. And then some tentacles came round and kind of grabbed them.
Yeah.
So maybe those are Dalek tentacles of the little squishy Dalek monster inside.
I don't know, but human beings couldn't make that because
no.
Because the Dalek in that episode gets flung out the TARDIS door into the sun. So they wouldn't have like a creature to sort of genetically re-engineer, would they?
No, that's a good point. Because I mean, I've entirely forgotten Resolution of the Daleks.
Yeah.
Which I think it's 1080p. But I don't know. I was thinking maybe they could just cut off the tentacles and put them in some kind of solution, and maybe the Dalek would just grow. Like, you know how starfish do that sometimes?
Yeah.
They, like, lose one of their arms and then they just grow another starfish off of the arm. That's what I was thinking, maybe.
I have a cheeky wee theory.
Go on.
I think Davros is going to come back.
Oh, God, yeah. Davros will never die.
No, I mean in this episode. I mean in this New Year's Day special.
Yeah, probably.
Because
do you think do you think the Prime Minister will pull her face off and be like, but I was Davros the whole time?
No,
like a Scooby-Doo mask. Pull the face off.
No, that's the Master style, you know. Only the Master can do that. But yeah, I think Davros will come back because the Dalek design sort of has his colours, his black and silver.
Yeah, that's true.
Colours, and I don't see how they could make Dalek mutants without Davros, or at least another Dalek. Unless, because the other Daleks are in this, the gold ones that we always see. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a revolution. I
mean, the thing is, the infuriating thing about the title "Revolution of the Daleks" is an actual revolution of the Daleks would be fascinating to watch unfold.
Yeah.
But you just know we're not going to see that.
No.
Which is so infuriating.
We're going to see discount Donald Trump. A new version of probably like Thatcher or something like that. Bringing these drones, and the Daleks are going to find out. They're going to be pissed. They'll be like, what? But if it was like Remembrance of the Daleks or something like that, where the Daleks are like fighting over like racial purity, that's interesting. That's, you know, actually historically informed and something that has happened in societies before, and it makes for a much better story rather than drones versus Daleks, because they're not Daleks then, are they?
No, plus it kind of makes sense. That's the kind of thing that Daleks would have a war about, because that's the only thing they really care about.
Yeah,
is the fact that they are superior to everybody else, or at least they believe they are. So is that not? That's what a revolution of the Daleks would be centered around, surely.
Yeah. The gang are in it looks to be a TARDIS of some sort.
It does look to be a TARDIS.
Is Ruth coming back? Is the Ruthless Doctor coming back?
Perhaps. Is I can't remember what happened at the end of last series now. They were all just chilling out, weren't they?
Yeah, they all just sort of
Then
went
13th
home.
Doctor got teleported to a prison.
She got yeeted into a prison. I don't know what her role's going to be. Maybe they'll break her out at some point.
Because, to be honest with you, I would be interested to see how the Doctor handled life in an interstellar prison.
That would
And yet
be
instead
interesting.
we're getting some obscure story about security drones.
Yeah, I wish they
that
would just...
may or may not be Daleks.
Yeah, I wish they would just pick one. You know?
Maybe they'll be more interlinked than we think. Perhaps.
Maybe.
I do not know.
Maybe it's... Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
I don't think it's... I do cut this show a lot of slack because I think Doctor Who has a lot of potential. But I think I do get frustrated with it over time.
Yeah.
How we seem to just be edging towards stories that just make less and less sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Although if I don't see the 13th Doctor holding a big pepper grinder full of gold, I will be very disappointed.
Or a paint gun for the Daleks
Yes.
eye stalk, like Wilfred. I really hope it's good. Like,
Me too.
people that
Me too.
complain about Doctor Who, especially the new seasons, I think it's like mischaracterized that they want it to be bad and they think it can't be good anymore. I really love this show. I just want it to be fucking good. I just want to enjoy myself when I'm watching it. Do you know what I mean? And if it doesn't make sense, then I'm probably not going to do that. You know?
I think even if it's like even if they have to take it down a few notches to take it down to a stage where it's simple and basic, but it just kind of makes sense. I would rather have a simple thing that makes sense than a complex thing that I just can't follow.
Yeah. Like Captain Jack in it, and the Doctor's in a prison, and then the Daleks show up, and there's also the Donald Trump character. It just looks as if it's just going to be too much. It's like, just tell a story, but you seem to just be getting off track. You know, you just seem to be adding too many elements, too many cooks at the pot, sort of thing. But we can't know until we watch it, so here's hoping.
Indeed. Here is hoping. I'm sure we will find out. I think that roundabout concludes today's Doctor Who based podcast.
Yes, it certainly does. Do you have a closing statement?
I do. I quite like this episode. I like the clockwork robots. I like the idea of a repair droid that just doesn't know what it's doing.
Yeah.
I like the idea of a simple misinterpretation of instructions that it's picked up on, and then it's just executing it ruthlessly. I quite like that. It's a classic AI story told in a way we haven't quite seen really yet.
Yeah.
And I do quite like that. I quite like this episode of Doctor Who. Have you got a closing statement?
I do. You're so thick. You're Mr. Thickety Thicktown from... Oh, fucked it. Never mind. It's a good episode. We haven't talked about chips this time.
I love chips.
I do love chips. Do you know what? I had one chance to get that right, Lewis. Do you ever make small bets with yourself? That if I don't throw this tea bag into the mug, the world will end, kind of thing.
I know what you mean. Not the world will end, but I know what you mean.
Right. Well, that's what I just did, and we're all gonna die. So,
I see. Well, isn't that good?
yeah. Every cloud. Should we go to the shilling now?
Yeah, let's do a bit of shilling,
Do a
shall
bit
we?
of shilling. I am on Instagram at O'Hiram. I'm on Facebook at Daniel K. Actor. I'm on Twitter at Kerzo2000. What are you on, Lewis?
I am on Instagram at Lewis_Brindley. I'm on Twitter at LewisBrindley4, and I have a Facebook page called Lewis Brindley. And the show also has a Facebook page called Shouting Into the Void, which you can go and like and follow and have a look at and see all of the upcoming news and updates about the show. Go and take a look.
Certainly do. We are on Instagram. No, I'm not. What? We're on Podomatic. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We have a YouTube channel. We're on Deezer. We're on Google Podcasts. And we're on Amazon Podcasts. We also have a PayPal donate button, so anything you can spare, anything at all, would be greatly appreciated. We also have Patreon. If you want to become a Patreon, we've recently done a thing with our patrons called Mellow Minutes, where we just hang out in our Discord server. We have a chat. We look at trailers. And yeah, we just have a lovely time. And we want to...
It's a good old time.
Yeah. And we want to thank our wonderful patrons, Chloe.
Thank you.
Darius.
Thank you.
Sophie.
Thank you.
Peter.
Thank you.
Aditya.
Thank you.
Richard.
Thank you.
And our newcomer, Cameron.
Thank you very much. We're up to quite a few patrons now. I'm really quite proud.
So, as am I. Yeah, thank you so much. You make the podcast possible. And yeah, if you want to join, please do.
Yeah, you make the show possible. It means the absolute world. Thank you very much, one and all.
Definitely. We also have merch on Teespring and Redbubble. We sell tote bags, we sell jumpers, we sell mugs, we sell anything and everything. So go and have a look. You know, see what tickles your fancy. And if nothing does, then, you know, you've filled up 2 minutes of your day. So there you go.
Links will be in the description or the show notes, or they'll be within arm's reach.
Definitely. And last but certainly not least, we are partnered with a fantastic company called Number 12 Crochet Avenue. And Lewis is about to say some lovely things about that company, and they're entirely factual.
Number 12 Crochet Avenue is a crochet company run by my wife, where she crochets, unsurprisingly, and she's very good at it. She crochets things. At the minute, we're just in sort of the run up to Christmas. She's just finished a little mini advent calendar of stockings, which is absolutely adorable. She posts about it and talks about it on social media at Number 12 Crochet Avenue. Go and take a look. It would mean the world. Thank you very, very much.
Indeed. Could you tell that I was desperately trying to figure out a different way of saying what I usually say there? Well, that was Doctor Who.
It was. Next week is the what is it? It's the first of the two-parters, isn't it?
Yeah, and the Cybermen,
Doctor
I believe.
Yeah.
Rise of the Cybermen.
Rise of the Cybermen. Yeah, the TARDIS is trapped on parallel Earth,
Woo!
and the bloody Cybermen turn up. Way.
Yeah. That's exactly how it turns out as well. So there you go. Please tune in for that, and we shall hear you, see you, smell you, trap you in revolutionary France with a fantastic gardener next time.
See you then. Thank you for listening.
Bye.